This is Brownie's Podcast.
Welcome to Brownie's Podcast. Grand final week. How have they done it, John?
How they done it? I don't care how they've done it, but I tell you what, it's going to be. Don't worry about a big team for the big week for the Brisbane Lions. It's going to be a big week for me.
It will be.
There's plenty of events out there, Brown Dog.
If they play 4 quarters of footy, they'll be unbeatable.
It's going to be unbelievable. You're right. They've had some mighty comebacks the last 2 weeks. What a day for me on Saturday.
Yes.
This is a great. As a football supporter, a football lover, you very rarely have a day like this. My 3 football teams that I follow.
Yeah.
Won.
Run through them. Who?
The mighty South Warrnambool Roosters won the grand final by a point.
Shit, yes.
In the Hampton League.
Yes.
I played for the South Warrnambool growing up. The mighty Baldwin Footy Club, who I've followed since moving to Melbourne.
Cash.
They beat East Ringwood by 2 points on the weekend, coached by Brenton Sanderson. And then the mighty Brisbane Lions on Saturday, twilight at 5 o'clock, get the job done against the Geelong Cats by 10 points. What a day it's been for a football supporter.
That's the best game you could ever watch. And there was a twist at the end. Who was the Geelong player?
Game of the year.
Who was the Geelong player that missed it? Because there was one more twist in the
Reece
tail.
Stanley.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have won it from then anyway.
They
There
could
wasn't
have,
much
mate.
time.
Wait. Hold on.
I saw Port Adelaide win one with less time.
Well,
John,
true, that's a good point. When
That
you
goal,
called it.
that goal goes in. There's over 30 seconds left.
I
gotta
think
win
it
a
was
clearance.
27. They could have won a clearance, but they didn't. And,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what does you say? If your auntie had a penis, she'd be named, I don't know.
She'd be your uncle.
She'd be your uncle, that's right. Yeah, there you go. We got the same.
What just happened?
Yeah, that's a famous saying.
It's a famous
yeah.
say. I just cooked it up in the middle.
Hey.
But I tell you what, before we get
What
into
just happened?
before we get into grand final week, which we're accustomed to, Brown Dog. Media murmurings.
Oh, what do you
media
mean?
murmurings.
We got bombs to drop.
We're in danger of media murmurings just taking over grand final week.
Tim Watson out because Campbell Browny's in. Congratulations,
Well,
dog.
we know the dog's in and the big show next year, Corn Dog, but apparently Channel 7 is going on a massive raid.
What do you mean?
Against Channel 9. Caro.
No,
My mail is
bullshit.
apparently Caro will be poached out of Channel 9 into Channel 7 to work with Kane Corns.
And I heard because her and Kane are in a loving relationship and they want to be together.
Well, I don't know about that. but
Arrow's
that has-
coming to 7. Is
The
she?
Arrow's coming to sound now. That has big implications for our man Brown Dog because apparently the new show next year, Corn Dog.
Corn dogs. Hey, sponsors are already going nuts over Corn Dog. Sexyland have showed their interest. Bunnings have showed their interest.
Yes.
Who else? A choc milk company.
Choc Mill, Big M.
Big M.
But I'm concerned now that's going to be called the Caro Corn Show.
That is big. If they've gone out and we know they've got Kane. That's already been established. If they've gone and raided Caro, who's been on 9 for ever and a day.
That'd be astonishing. Now,
Yeah,
Dog,
big.
is this rumour or is there a semblance of truth?
I've heard it could be true.
Oh, is that
So,
right?
so whoever your source is, get some good mail. So,
God almighty,
Hey.
where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
Hey,
Who's going to throw the bigger
Hutchie's
bombs?
bleeding. Hutchie's bleeding talent. Does that
Yes.
mean you're getting the
they'll
call
still
up
be
for...
able to do SEN.
Yeah, but you're getting the call up for talking footy. What show does he do? Footy Classified.
Hey, that's interesting because
Mate.
maybe now 9 turn the tables on Channel 7.
Dog.
And they go Dog.
No, I'd never
I
leave
think we
7.
need to be. Is that right?
Yeah.
The
stable.
company man.
Yeah, I'm company
Well,
man now,
when your best mate is running the show at Channel 7, it'd be hard to leave.
When's
wouldn't
he
it?
going to give you something for crying out
Mate,
loud?
I'm not too fast. I'm like that player that's had a really good season. He goes into the off season. He knows he's an established senior player now. He just needs to come back the next
Well said.
year, and he slots straight back.
So
well
you
said.
said off season. So you saying you're already in the off season? So no role for you on grand final day?
No official role. No official role.
What?
I tell you what, there will be. Are
you kidding me?
There'll be a splattering of the brown dog from early morning, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
to about midday.
Oh, so you're a breakfast operator.
Yeah, I'm a breakfast operator. I'm not the actual footy
Like
broadcast.
Brown Dog live from the North Melbourne breakfast,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
So
So, John-
remember last year I went to your famous pub that you got the mural on the wall?
That's right, the Royal Derby
Yeah.
Hotel. Chrissy
Yeah.
Johnson's on it now, another Channel 7
So I'll
man.
be doing that sort of stuff.
You're standing out next to traffic,
Yeah.
next to a wall of your friends.
Yeah, at like 8 in the morning when no one's around, I'm trying to rustle up some environment, just some sort of excitement.
But you'll be on air at some point. Surely they've
None
got a
of
lot
it'll be live. I reckon you'll see me do 5 or 6 crossings.
Yeah.
But on the main channel or on the backup channel?
On Gem?
And 7 mates.
7 mates.
But hey, it'd be good to be part of the coverage on grand final day.
So nothing. So not even. We're going to cross down to Campbell Brown to see how the what injury Callum Mills. How the Callum Mills hamstring is.
No,
That's bullshit.
Yeah, that'll be game day coverage.
Hey, more spicy news. Campbell's got a mystery black toe, and Ginny was at his house Saturday night.
Yeah, that's big.
What the hell?
Well, I saw them in the same room together. Bar Bambi. I was at Bar Bambi on Saturday.
Yes.
It was my cue to leave when I saw 50 footballers turn up, closely followed by 50 influencers.
Jesus.
And Brown Dog.
Yeah.
And Brown Dog.
Oh, yeah.
And we
Stood
went
out
to
like
the
a sore
stage left.
thumb. It was for Tommy Sheridan's Rick's party. Right?
What does Rick's mean?
He threw it to Sunglass Company.
yeah.
So he throws a party every year at Bar Bambi. It's been around for 3 or 4 years. And part of the process is he invites some of his friends, and then he invites some of the the social following, the women that have big influences.
Like some VFL talent.
But I tell you where the VFL talent came to the fore,
Yeah.
the after party, because there ended up being about 50 people back in my little apartment. And there was people, the people I hadn't even heard of before the Prime Train walked through.
What time?
Prime Train. Who's
Yeah,
the
with his
Prime
blonde
Train?
mullet. Yeah, Train.
Jesus.
Who's that? Aaron Norton.
No.
No, it's a famous local footballer who is very big on social media, plays at just
Prime
goes
Train.
places for cash, and he calls himself Prime Train.
Aaron Norton
And-
came back. Guinea was back there.
Did you ask him about coming on the podcast?
Yeah, mate, he locked himself in.
Really?
I thought at about 2 o'clock on Thursday night, Friday morning, I'd got my first person to come on the potty.
Where is he?
Well, it's Brownlow morning, so he's pulled out.
That's fair, John.
Brownlow morning.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense
No
to me.
suit
So-
fittings and shit.
Well, he's debuting his new girlfriend. Yeah, she's coming. He's told me he's going to wear a white jacket.
He's
Like it's-
debuting his new girlfriend.
Yeah.
Who is she?
I'm not too sure, but
Geez, what about? I asked him as well. I hit him up. He'd be sick of it. He'd be sick of initially committing to Brownie's podcast
Yes, he
a
would.
long time ago, because I also hit him up at the door on the way to Guinea. We were off for the podcast. He goes, oh yeah, Brown Dog's already hit me up about that. I
he'll
said,
come. I reckon we'll get
Thursday.
him. Maybe
So,
Thursday.
Doc,
Push for
you're
Thursday.
sitting like Don Corleone in your apartment,
Yep.
your house,
Yep.
and you look across the room. There's Guinea in one corner. There's the
Aaron
Prime
Norton,
Train,
Prime
Norton,
Train.
and then what's your house
Dion
like?
Prestia,
Jesus.
Griffin Logue, like Tommy Sheridan's mates. It's great.
What was the state of your house when you woke up? What time did you wake up? 2 questions.
Woke up sort of early morning Friday. When I say early morning, around 10 o'clock.
Yep.
Joint absolutely a mess. Yeah, all those little vodka soda cans everywhere. They'd helped themselves to some apples out of my fridge. Apples? Yeah, which is unusual. Hey, I tell you what,
whip
I
up an
thought
apple
that
crumble or something, didn't they?
I thought Jordan Lewis had raided my cupboard because all the succotash were gone. And
Only the plain ones or the flavoured ones left.
And
Mate.
so I just left.
Right.
I just left. I had a function with Billy and Mark Harvey on the Friday, and I attended that. Then that was in Brayside. Then I went out, had some drinks, watched the footy and everything. I came back like 11 o'clock Friday night. I didn't have it in me to clean the house, so I went to sleep. And then I woke up Saturday morning with a broken little toe, right? And I had to clean my joint up, so it was tough.
I'll tell you what you should try. I am fond of doing the clean up when you're half full.
Really?
Yeah, agreed.
John,
It's the best.
smart.
Hey, it's the best. It's enjoyable.
Really
you
smart.
really rip into it to make your work ethic.
Yeah.
When you're half full,
Skyrockets.
and you're still enjoying a red while you're doing it. Oh, mate, a bit of music.
Yep.
Maybe a special podcast or Brownie's podcast
special
on in the
podcast.
background.
Yeah.
You just never know. But I'll tell you what, mate, it is immaculate when you wake up the next day.
It's
I mean,
genius.
well, maybe I'll throw another one grand final night, and I can clean up while having a few drinks before I go to the end of season celebration drinks.
Yeah, no, which ones?
Channel 7's AFL team.
I think you could say Brownie's podcast because I don't think it's any of those ones.
So I don't know how I broke my toe.
Don't-
I don't remember stumbling.
we
I don't
can
remember,
get there. We can get there. So let's trace your steps. Did it happen early in the night?
Definitely not early in the night.
Where did you go midnight and how, like midway during the evening, and how drunk are you at that point?
I was around actually.
Maybe it was the cobblestones. You walked down to Bar Bambi. You didn't clip it on the
Nah,
cobblestones.
I didn't clip it. I didn't drop anything on it. I don't remember stubbing it. I just woke up at 5 o'clock to go to the bathroom, and I remember limping
Yes.
to the toilet, and it was sore, and it just progressively got sorer and blacker over the course of the weekend. I had to try and fit in suit shoes yesterday for the VFL Grand Final. Hurt.
Jesus.
Can we see it?
Yeah.
Show us your toe, man.
Yeah, mate, my toe.
Show us your toe.
Busted. The little toe.
It's a left foot.
Describe it, John.
Oh, it's a left foot. So it's actually quite fat. It's not as black or as blue as you think, but it's definitely injured. And there's nothing worse than a sore toe. Now, the only way I thought this could have possibly happened is I remember as a young fella playing footy with the socks.
Yeah.
Remember playing footy with footy socks?
Absolutely.
Yeah, inside. And I kicked at the table once and I broke my toe.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, brown dog, full of drink, full of vodkas and sodas,
Ball out.
maybe showing off to the 50 AFL footballers and the 50 influencers back at his unit,
and he's
recreating his goal from the 2008 grand final.
Yeah, I didn't need to show off to them because they already knew that they were in the presence of greatness. I tell you what did happen though, 3 o'clock. Knock on the door, a couple of coppers came up. Noise complaint from some neighbours.
Who goes front and centre to the cops?
So I went out there.
Do you hide or you?
They turned the music down. Right, everyone turned it down. Guinea was playing some sort of techno music. Fred again, that guy.
Fred again.
And I walked out there, and they said, we've had some noise complaints. You're going to have to turn the music down. It's about 3:15. And I do you know what I did? I thanked the police for their service. I said to them, look, I know you guys would prefer to be somewhere else. You had the protesters the other week, disgraceful behaviour, throwing rocks at horses. And
you
acid
brought
at
up
you
the
guys.
Protesters to 2 cops just trying to get you to shut up.
And I said, look, that's just disgraceful behaviour, but I think the way the police force handled it in the last couple of weeks was superb. I apologise. Very, very fun time of the year, but you're doing a great job. I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure that the music stays down. I don't want to upset any of their neighbours. And they thanked me. I walked them to the lift.
They said, thank you, King.
They went down, and I walked back in there like I was at a party. And I went, turn the fucking music back up. No one tells the dog what to do. and mate, Fred again came back on. I'm a party inside of my head, inside of my...
That might have been when you broke your toe. When you got all excited.
It actually might have been because I jumped up onto the lounge and was surfing it.
That's what's happened.
Yeah.
I think we've worked it out, Daniher.
I think so, mate. Case closed.
It was
Got to kill him with kindness.
You're in a very dangerous era at the moment. The party era. It's wild.
Yeah, grand final week's dangerous. You got a full book, a full week, because it's a great matchup, Brown Dog. I'm looking forward to Sydney v Brisbane, 2 interstaters, but it's a state of origin clash. Thank God Port Adelaide didn't make it because they were passengers in this final series.
That game, you flew there.
That game was shithouse on Friday night.
Sydney were really good.
Tell us what happened, mate.
They just didn't miss any targets by foot. They're lethal. Their midfield's lethal. The forward line even looked good, which it doesn't often. They're a very good side.
At what point did you, because you were there, you flew there, at what point did you think we are f***ed?
Oh, about 5 minutes. I'm like, when Jace Burgoyne kicked the first goal, I was like, all right, we could be on here. And then that's the last moment that we actually showed anything.
Well, you got it from a free kick down the field, so you didn't even earn that first goal.
They dominated centre clearances, though. They dominated territory, and they just couldn't put it on the scoreboard.
They didn't come to play like they did against the Hawks a week before.
They didn't have the same pressure. The pressure was
they played their grand final the week before, and it was really evident. It was like they always talk about, that you build yourself up for a game, and then obviously to come down from that, and they just couldn't match him. I just
want to ask you about Kenny Hinkley. He gets criticised often as a coach for being too emotional. Should he be criticised for that, or is he actually getting the best out of a group that's... They've got a lot of holes in that group. Their forward personnel is ordinary. Obviously, Marshall wasn't out. Sam wasn't there. Sam Powell-Pepper wasn't there. But I actually look at his list, and there's a lot of holes. So I reckon Kenny's done a bloody good job, and maybe he needs to use pull the emotional levers to get the best out of the group.
Yeah, because they don't have absolute top 4 talent, I don't believe. They're too spasmodic with their best and their worst, and sometimes their forward line clicks, and Charlie Dixon and Marshall and these guys are hitting the scoreboard, and then other weeks they go completely missing.
Dixon can't play again.
Nah, Dixon's done.
Travis spoke.
He was actually pretty good.
No, he butchered
the ball.
He butchered it by
one mistake.
No, he cost us 3 goals, truly, off his own boot.
His kicking is bloody ordinary.
But bad night. But over the year, what would you rate both?
Yeah, he had a good year.
So that's all right.
And he's a consummate professional, so he goes away and he works on his body harder than anyone else in the AFL. And so he comes back and he's always in the best of condition. So for that, and he's a legend of our club. Probably,
he is.
With Robbie Glade, the greatest of all time. So in that type of position, what he means to the club, you give him another year and say, you know what, you call it on when you're ready.
So the best thing about the grand final is I think genuinely the 2 best sides are there. You've got Sydney, who have been the best side all year. Yeah, they had their lapse for 5 or 6 weeks there in the back end. And you've got the Brisbane Lions that in every category, have been the best side in the comp since round 12.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at it, Sydney won the first 13 out of 14, and Brisbane won their last 13 out of 15. So the best two teams of the year, you're right, first half of the year Sydney, second half of the year Brisbane. No question about that. They played in round 19. I did that game. Absolute cracker at the Gabba, 2 points. And they play a high-scoring brand of football.
Yes.
And when I say you don't get too technical here, the fields are long, so it's a bit old school. They're very positional. You know, the forwards play in the forward line, the backmen play in the back line, the mids play in the middle. So that lends itself to high scoring and exciting free-flowing footy. So Saturday afternoon, 23 degrees at the MCG.
Shit.
It could be an old school cracker, one for the ages.
John, do you feel like a silly, silly man? Because at the start of this finals campaign, your enthusiasm could be described as lukewarm for your team.
Well, the problem was, this will be unheralded what Brisbane have done to travel 3 weeks in a row. If they can lift the trophy, it'd be a mighty effort. First week going to Sydney, not as tough a trip. Last week, Geelong, not as tough a trip when I say travel-wise. They've had 2 tough games, but they're hardening their condition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oscar McInerney injury is the big one. I'm buoyed by the fact that Darcy Fort 2 years ago came in as Oscar's replacement and beat Max Gawn convincingly to help Brisbane beat Melbourne in that final a couple of years ago at the MCG. So I think Brisbane will follow the same pathway. But it'd be unprecedented. If they can do that, now maybe, just maybe, something that we didn't experience Brownlow, that bye before the final series allows Brisbane to potentially be able to travel for 3 weeks and not have as much physical toll as it would normally have had.
Yeah, I like the idea of the bye. I really do, and especially if they bring in the wild card next year or the year after. Yeah, that'll be good. But the bye certainly has helped sides. It helped the Doggies in 16, the first time they brought it in, and it will help Brisbane. I want to go back.
And they had a soft kill against Carlton the first week.
They did. They certainly did that first half. So Tom Stewart's tackle on Zach Bailey with under 3 minutes to go, which then led to the Ollie Henry 4th goal when he snapped it to put the Cats back in front.
2 minutes 40 to go.
That should be remembered like Fraser Brown's tackle on Dean Wallace against Essendon in that preliminary final, right? That's what it would have gone down as, because it was that big a moment. But they go on and lose the game instead of win it, and everyone's probably talking about the Jack Payne rundown of Mitch Duncan, instead, which was good. But the Tom Stewart moment live watching it was as good a piece of play as you could ever ask for.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't stick that, Bailey's having a shot at goal to ice the game.
Yep.
Turnover goal, Geelong in front, 93,000 at the G, game on. Yeah. Like, it's what you...
That's what you love about
dream
prelims.
about.
Yep. Great prelims, and often you get a shit prelim, which we got Friday night.
Thanks, Broads.
And thanks, Broads. And a great prelim final. And it's moments, isn't it? It's moments in those great prelim finals. You're right, because you're right. Stewart does that, but then Joe Daniher, who played an amazing game in the second half, played rucked all day. What a mighty effort. He lays a massive smother.
Yep.
And smothers the ball. That leads straight to the Archie goal. And then Cam Rayner, who was unsighted in the first half, has one of the halves for the ages. Absolutely takes over the game. Second half takes a great mark, but kicks one on his left peg from 55 out to seal the deal for the Lions.
Great.
Just moments.
But there was another twist to be had, but the dude just missed it. I can't
Reece
believe
Stanley.
it. It was
Reece
crazy.
Stanley, that's right, yeah.
He was trying to dish it because he looked like he had a corky or something.
I think he might have got up with a little tweaked groin or something. He had that look on his face, so he didn't want to take the kick.
No.
And just the moment, the pressure. Like,
in that situation, can't he say, "Nah, I'm injured, I can't walk"?
You can, right?
Well, you can, absolutely, but you got to go off the ground probably, or certainly get well out of the way. So,
and he had to rush it as well because of the time on the clock.
The clock was going, time was back on, so the clock was ticking out. But just magnificent moments. It was great to see. I thought Brisbane's kicking was brilliant. We talk about Sydney's great kicking, and obviously we criticise Port Adelaide, but the ability for Brisbane to pull apart Geelong, and Geelong's normally very well organised beyond that. I think they might have had a close look at what St Kilda did to Geelong in the last game there, or second last game there at Marvel Stadium. Remember that in the second half?
They did. They got
I think Brisbane may have had a close look at that and just say, right, this may be the way that Geelong gets dismantled. And Brisbane, kudos to them, they executed that in the second half.
Joe Daniher's been much maligned throughout his career. He's a bit of an enigma. He's a different guy. Lives in Byron Bay, drives up to Brisbane every day. He does the magnificent, right, sometimes like he did in the semi-final and kick those goals. Other times He's missed from directly in front. He's handballed and played on when the halftime siren went right. But credit where credit's due. His grand final last year, he was probably Brisbane's best player.
Yeah.
He single-handedly won in the game against GWS 2 weeks ago. And his performance, while there were better players, Lockie Neal, and we spoke about a couple of the other guys, Rayner and a few, his overall performance when the big ruckman went down was unbelievable. So he, if they win the flag, will be elevated to a level that Joe Daniher probably has never been in.
Oh, no, and Joe Daniher deservedly should, when we're looking at who's been the best forward, and people get Ray, Jesse Hogan, Jeremy Cameron, Charlie Curnow, all these. Joe Daniher's full body of work, I said it last week on the podcast, Joe Daniher has been the best forward in the competition the last 2 years. If you look at his body of work, his ability to play forward, then go into the ruck and support like he does, his ability in big games, should have won the Norm Smith if Brisbane had won the game last year in the grand finals. His performances have been outstanding. If you look at it, over the full course of the 2 years, he's been a terrific player, and it's been great to see. I just quickly on the incident, Oscar McInerney's display of courage was one for the ages. That'll be remembered, especially if Brisbane went within the bowels of the Gabba for what he did, and that's why he's loved by his teammates. They asked him, he went down, his shoulder was popped out, and the coaches said to him, we need another 20 minutes or a quarter. If you can just get us through that, get us to close to half time, that'll allow Joe to get us through the second half.
Yep.
And obviously not put as much reliance on Eric Hipwood and young Morris down there. And he did it. He went back out, knowing full well it'll probably pop again.
And he's done for the grand final.
Does another 15, 20 minutes a quarter. Does what is required for the team. Pops his shoulder again, which obviously rules him out for a grand final. But he got them far enough into the game that allowed Daniher to ruck for the second half.
Like Simpson and his donkey.
Yeah. Mate, Simpson and his donkey. You're right. It was like Simpson and his donkey, Dino. I love the analogy.
And I reckon Jack Graham did something very similar for the Tigers on their premiership run as well. Remember, he dislocated his shoulder, taped it up, went back out there, played a role, and was done for the grand final.
Because the shoulder, running around with your shoulder, and I haven't dislocated a shoulder, but I've subluxed my AC joint. It's a horrible feeling. So, like the feeling that your shoulder is out of place.
But what's the deal? Because it's not broken or torn. So why, if you pop it back in, why can't it just stay in?
Because it just keeps popping out because it's loose.
And is that forever?
No, the ligaments are all cooked. So
all cooked, yeah.
You go and get surgery. You get a reconstruction.
But it's never the same. It's never the same.
And imagine the shock of having that to your ligaments and all that, having your shoulder put back in, then going out and playing. And you know what? And there was several times where it didn't pop out, where he went to ground, he got up sore, but he just kept whacking away. You know what Oscar McInerney reminds me of? He reminds me of one of those great steeplechase horses. They're slow as a wet week, but they just keep whacking away. You can imagine him over the 33 jumps at Warrnambool in the May races, mate. The Grand Annual, 5.5 Ks.
Whacking away.
He's an old steeplechaser. He just keeps whacking away.
Just whacking.
He's an absolute beauty.
Flew in the face.
He was whacking off.
Did you see when Joe marked it in the goal square and then just charged into the ground like an NFL player?
Yeah.
That was wild.
That was good,
I don't know what was happening. It scared me. I was at the ground. He's like he was running at me.
Well, the ball just dropped marginally short of the goal line.
That was amazing.
It was cool.
It's been called a coach killer potentially. Like it would have been, wouldn't it?
If it had gone through for a goal, who knows? And that's the enigma of Joe Daniher.
That's Joe.
But you're a better side going into this year's grand final than you were last year because of, one, you get Ashcroft back, who's a star, and two, geez, you've got one up forward, Kai Loman. He has got serious X Factor and
Mondra-esque.
Can kick goals
from Karate Kid.
He's hard.
Johnny Lawrence.
He's hard. He can kick goals and he can take a great mark.
Oh, mate, he's a star. It's going to be interesting, the actual matchups as to what ends up happening there. Harry Cunningham's done a great job on some of the small forwards. He did a great job on Willie Rowley. He'll probably play on Charlie Cameron, but Loman's going to be the one to watch. He's a beauty. I love his celebrations too. They've got Loman, and they've got Cam Rayner, and they've got Zach Bailey. They've got three genuine X-Factor players that can light it up on the MCG.
John, your team lost by under a goal last year.
Yeah.
And imagine the headspace they'd be in. They can erase that pain. They've done it again. They've got to the grand final.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine the Demons when they were zipping 3 and 2 and 5 early in the season. So 16 of that team played against Geelong when they were belted in the prelim final 2 years ago. So they stared the Dragon in the face.
Right in the face.
Stared her in the eyes, and then they've come again, and then they've gone and made to the grand final. So each year, the Brisbane Lions have improved, haven't they? So hopefully, if they're going to improve, they just need to go one more goal than they did last year and win.
And then you know what they've been promised if they win the flag? JB's going to fly him over to P. Diddy's freak-offs.
Wow!
Yeah.
That'd be
John, that's really kind of you, man.
Well, the Brisbane Lions were fond of IV drips back in the day. Brown dogs.
All right.
Ah, shit.
State of Origin Grand Final. Hey, can I come to the Grand Final, man?
We'll see. We'll see. We'll do our best.
I'll take it.
We'll do our best.
Ads back in a second. Welcome back to Brownies Podcast. Beck, follow us on do the thing, do the plug for us.
At Brownies Podcast, Instagram and TikTok.
Jeez, you're good.
Brown dog ticket prices. Where are they going at? Because I reckon, ratings-wise, this has the potential to break all-time records. So when Sydney people are watching, and particularly Southeast Queenslanders are watching, the ratings are enormous.
Is
and
that
they go through the
because
roof.
the footy gets the whole country normally, but it's extra because of Brisbane and
Absolutely. 60% of the population lives north of the border. So they're all invested in this game. It is true state of origin. There's a lot of love for AFL football too in the northern states now. They're two big cities, and there's going to be a lot of people in town. I reckon the town will be pumping.
Oh, it will be.
Flight prices have gone bananas. There'll be a lot of demand for tickets, dog. What's the price?
Well, StubHub and some of the scammers out there, I'll just keep my ear to the ground. It's sort of market at the moment's 1,500.
And you expect to go up?
I think it'll go up as we get closer to the game because not like we were talking last Thursday. We thought JB said, "I do you reckon they'll get 80,000 to the G tonight." There was 93 there,
90,
right?
It's
the
amazing.
appetite for Sydney and Brisbane-based people. I've had someone ring me wanting 4 tickets. They're going to fly down from Brisbane. Yep. I said, sorry, I can't get my hands on any, but get on StubHub and, maybe try and negotiate a deal.
You've said StubHub a couple of times now. It feels like you're in their pocket.
You pitch me of StubHub.
Queen of tickets. There's Hoyts.
So 1,500 is the going rate.
I think so.
Well,
Laugh at me, mate. What are you laughing at?
Well, what's the flat rate? The flat rate's $500 anyway. Face value.
Is it?
Yeah,
I've never bought one at face value.
So, no, it's going to be... I think the town's going to be pumping. It's going to be beautiful weather Friday, Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. We'll be doing a couple of little functions, all above books, of course. I like to contribute to the tax office. They do wonderful. They do wonderful.
Oh, they've spent it magnificently the last couple of years. East-West Link.
Don't mention government.
Oh, the Commonwealth Games,
Commonwealth
JB.
Games.
We're paying for Glasgow to have the thing.
Don't mention government
and you
around
drive
this
to
car.
Warrnambool, you're going to make sure your car doesn't get lost in all the potholes back to Warrnambool.
Yeah.
So they do a magnificent job.
Are you here the whole week? Are you going
Yes,
back?
I'm here for the whole week.
Of course
so,
you is.
Jesus.
like I said, the one thing about spending more time with your family is that you have to spend more time with your family. It's overrated.
I wish we had a GoPro on JB this week. You'd see some fascinating people that he meets.
You're not going to have a voice. You're going to take it easy.
Brownlow tonight?
so-
You going to the Brownlow?
No, I'm not doing the Brownlow. Couch is on early, 7 p.m. Make sure you tune in for that. Bucks is heading off in his penguin suit.
Yeah, he'll be going.
See his girlfriend Broads got
Yes.
up there. She
Yes,
was
looking lovely.
Yeah, looking magnificent. The fashion pages. So it's always a big event. But if you don't win a Brownlow, Dino, you don't get invited back.
That's bullshit.
Unless you're a current player. So
That's bullshit.
I'm happy to sit at home on the couch. And then there'll be a few functions, dog. We're at the Carbine Club tomorrow.
Yes, we certainly
I've actually
are.
got to interview Andrew
Mel's
Dillon.
coming.
I'm interviewing Andrew Dillon.
Really?
One out, the CEO of the AFL. Dino, do you reckon you can maybe think about 20 questions
Yeah, big time.
for the AFL CEO? You got some good questions?
That'll be weird though, brother, and you have to do them if I write them out.
Absolutely. Well, maybe we can get some suggestions from the degenerates too on the WhatsApp. What you would like me to ask Andrew Dillon?
That's smart.
I've been to. I'm one of the rare footballers that have been invited to more Brownlows in retirement than when I played. I went to 2 when I played in 07 and 08 as a player, and was ineligible every other year because of suspension. Because I've done 3 Brownlow red carpets.
Yep.
I then shanghaied onto a table somehow. You remember I used to do those funny questions where we called it the Campbell Brown low medal, and I gave Tom Lonergan a mock Campbell Brownlow for having lost more kidneys than he's had Brownlow votes, right? Which I don't think he loved.
No.
I gave one to Phil
Why
Davis.
don't you try something like that?
Which I don't think he'll.
Why don't you try something like that with Christian Petrarca this year?
Yeah, I don't think that'd go down well. And then I gave one to Phil Davis and said that you've played for more clubs than you have had Brownlow votes because he played for 2.
Do you think he loved that?
No, he didn't appreciate that either. And then I just stopped getting invited to the Brownlow. I was like, what the You know?
No, it was it used to be a little bit looser, the Brownlow,
Yeah.
because back in the days you could have the crownies on the table and they just load
Well,
up.
did Fev ruin it for everyone?
Well, he did, because what you would do, and I got this tip from a experienced Brownlow medal attendee early days, that slip the waiter.
Yes.
Because you have a particular waiter that's looking after just your table,
Yep.
maybe two other tables.
Yep.
Slip them some cash. So I slipped my first year 100.
Yep.
And I tell you what,
Smart.
didn't she load us up? Like,
Yeah.
the other tables were missing. There was about 50 crownies in the middle of our table. It was
Hey, tell me how you
magnificent.
did it with the hunt. Did you just put it in their pocket? Did you do a handshake?
I just slid up and I just shook the hand with a $100 note in the hand, and I said, "Table 22. Just
Yeah,
make sure you
it's-
look after us."
it's as simple
because
as that.
you only get served in the ad breaks. Remember, because they
Yeah,
know
man.
the clinking of glasses
Yep.
during the actual coverage.
You're a
So what
genius.
happens? The doors open and then it's a mad rush.
Yeah.
And if she's been looked after with the slippery hand of JB,
Yep.
Yeah.
she's obviously going to go to our table first before she goes to the other table.
Because you could go 7 or 8 rounds without getting a drink,
That
theoretically.
sucks.
And then you're right about all the fun being
John.
gone from the Brownlow. Like, gone are the days where you could deliberately stand on one of the girls' trains. You know, like,
Yeah.
their dress length.
and you deliberately do that for horseplay.
Well, a bit of fun, you know. And I reckon the stylists, all right, and the designers and the makeup artists are almost as big as stars as the players these days.
yeah, well, it's-
Ogly Adora, and there's bloody Joey Scandisi with the hair, and you got the makeup artists, and
Scandisi's
you got
all over it.
Paul Versace style by Bloom. Like,
It's
you've
a night
got
of
to
nights,
keep your
though.
finger on the pulse
You got
with
Lowe's,
the fashion.
Lowe's big and tall. Like, mate, a lot of big
Peplums,
fashion.
there's peplums on dresses
Remember that
and
year?
colour
Remember
coordination.
they used to do that year. They did that show, the Brownlow Police or whatever, the fashion. Remember they were
Fashion
on there?
Police.
The Fashion Police, and they did that.
The
and it was like a
rotisserie.
TV show, and the rotisserie wasn't great. But I think it's great to celebrate the girls getting all dolled up and glammed up behind the scenes. It's not all beer and Skittles.
No.
Well said, mate.
Yeah.
It's not all beer and
Brownie's
Skittles.
analogies today have been absolutely astounding. What was that one? What was that one early?
I wouldn't ask for that one again.
What was the early one?
If your
You're
auntie
only-
had a penis, she'd be your
Your
uncle.
uncle. I mean, that's just science. It's just science.
Yeah.
All right, we're
we
going to
live
take a
in
break.
the- anyway.
Back in a second. Don't move. It's Brownie's Podcast. Welcome back to Brownie's Podcast. Hey, there's a lot of good footy accounts, funny footy accounts, but there's one that I think have been really good all year.
Sench.
Sench is really good. And Type Media AU. I think it's a guy called Cheats that does it. And very funny.
Is that on Twitter or
Instagram? Really, really
Instagram,
funny
yeah,
shit.
right.
There's some good Brisbane stuff out there. But this is Type Media AU's. Follow them on Instagram. This is their latest one on the Swans.
I just want to give you a bit of an insight into Sydney Swans team. We're a bunch of unique individuals. McDonald, Papley, Amadi, Heaney, and myself. The Bloods Army is going to engage with our minds and hearts. We're going to exchange goals, and Papley will piss players off. A lot of players off. We're not always going to get it right. Horse may never smile again. But that's okay. Sometimes you got to admit, it's the Swannies' time. If you're not on the Swans bandwagon, you can go yourself. So if you want to come along for the ride, jump on the Bloods bandwagon, because we just love the footy.
Mate, good shit.
That's good work. Like, nice and tidy. There was a hint of American accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, the AI's made what's his face American.
Yeah, it didn't
Kirky boy.
Kirky
What's
works
his
for the
face?
Sydney staff.
Disrespectful.
He's one of the coaching staff.
Is he?
The Sydney Swans there. So, great horse, Longmire.
Who wins it
for another
tonight?
grand final. He wins it tonight.
I think Dacos by 3 votes from Cripps. And I'm going to say Bontempelli third. A lot of people have Lockie Neal up there. But
I've got the other way around. I've got Cripps to win, to Dacos, Lockie Neal, Mark Bontempelli as in fourth place. My roughie, I've got a couple, John Newcomb and Zach Butters, just outsiders. You've got to throw the outsiders in there for the multis.
Absolutely.
So that's my tip. What a great night it'll be.
Do you remember the degenerate Pete? It was Pete last year that had a fair bit
multi.
of coin on someone up to the last round.
Yeah, couldn't cash out.
Didn't cash out.
we
threw away
talked him out of it, remember?
thousands of
That was me.
dollars.
Actually,
I caught him weak if he did it.
You did.
I've got
He held.
one of my boys at Fox took a $10 multi early in the year. This is an interesting decision at the moment. Spain, he had at the start of the year, Spain to win the Euros, which they did.
Yes.
Yes.
Melbourne Storm
Yep.
to
Well,
win
they're
the
on track.
flag.
Yeah.
Looking good.
And Brisbane to win the flag. At the moment, it's for a $10 bet, it's at $6,000 the cash out.
Wow.
What?
Would you take the 6,000?
No.
Because I think the Storm are good things.
Storm will win and
And
Brisbane will
Brisbane's
win.
obviously in the grand final.
Always let it ride.
What if the Storm win Friday night and it goes up to, say, is that game Friday? I think
Yeah,
that
Friday
goes
night,
yeah.
They win and it goes up to $7.5 grand.
I'd wait till the game started. If Brisbane get out of the blocks in the first quarter, then it'll jump significantly if they're in front.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
Are you talking about riding the lightning?
Yeah, you got to ride the lightning.
All the best to Stevie.
I think Heaney will be leading the Brownlow till about round 15.
Right.
Because he gets out of the blocks with about 5 or 6 3-vote games in the first 8 rounds.
Yep.
And then he obviously can't win it because he's suspended. And then Cripper and Dacos will come hard.
Whose responsibility is it for the players? If Heaney gets missed out in a Brownlow, potentially, because of that suspension, whose responsibility? Is it the players' union to really stand up and bang their fists on the table and say, hey, we need to make an alteration to the fairest part of the Brownlow? I'm not saying scrap
I
the
don't
fairest
think they
part.
ever will.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. There's too much history involved, and it's part of the uniqueness of this award.
Yeah, I know there's history involved, but we've changed the level, the level of fairest and what's not fair over the 100 years. So players would have won Brownlow medals that would have whacked players and did things that now would get 1, 2, 3 weeks. So if we're going to, if we're saying it's all about history, well, we've also got to change our fairest judgments, I think. So that's why I think we shouldn't have 1 week suspensions. I think the AFL Players Union should go and say, look, let's alter things. Let's make the fines a bit heavier, the deterrents a bit heavier, but not have 1 weekers. So therefore, if you get suspended for 2 weeks and beyond, you're ineligible for a Brownlow medal.
Mate.
Well, is that fair? Because there's a lot of tiggy touch with things that are right on the edge, and if the players agreed to, but things like that, but they're minor, they don't cause any damage. The players need to be able to agree to it, you know, but a $1,500 fine is not a deterrent for a player on $1 million a year.
Not at all.
So I just think it's up to the players. You say, hey, let's fix it out, because it's a big moment in a player's life.
Absolutely.
If they win a Brownlow or get a Brownlow taken away,
for life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Before we go, I almost forgot that Brody has come out with some more ridiculous stuff. He reckons Katy Perry isn't going to sing Raw at the grand final.
Yeah,
that's the one song that she definitely has to sing because the Lions are playing.
Exactly.
She's not singing Raw.
How on God's green planet would you know that?
Don't worry, I am very well connected in this town. She will not be singing Raw. She wanted to do a lot of the new album, and I think the AFL may have said, don't really want to do much of the new album. Can we go back to some of the hits? But Raw is not on the set list. Raw is not.
What about Fireworks?
Fireworks is there.
That's a cracker.
Yep.
They've got to play Raw. My mail is four of the bangers and one of the new ones.
4 to 1's a good ratio, because you've got to give it
4
one.
to 1's a good one. I'm actually going to do a pre-game for the big screen.
Oh, yes.
To introduce as part of the introduction to Katy Perry. And I've got some of the script. I don't know where it is, but I've got to be dressed in my lines.
Do you reckon you'll?
Scripts? Can you give us a bit of a taste?
Do you reckon you'll be out? You'll meet her? Do you reckon you'll meet her?
No, I
won't
won't meet her. What about Brisbane?
I'm going to get a selfie with her.
What about Brisbane? Have been kicked off the MCG. They can't do. They're coming down on Wednesday, a day earlier. They can't train on the MCG because she's practicing.
That's
good.
I would, if I was Horse, crack the absolute shits at that. It is an AFL Grand Final for the two clubs, which is more important.
No, it's fakes. No, it's not Sydney.
Well, it's an AFL Grand Final for the teams, right? The entertainment is just the entertainment.
Also, can't they do both? Can't Katie practice and the boys have a kick?
You can't not allow a side to train on the MCG because Katy Perry wants to practice.
They can do drills like she's a witch's hat. You kick around.
She's a guest.
She's a guest.
Yeah.
I saw Tom Jones's air check. It was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, knocking Delilah. Sat there with a crowd of about 10 people. He knocked out, worked on Delilah.
Sick. So you're doing a G-up speech for the actual broadcast.
These lines, our lines, the resilience, the resolve,
bus fat,
belief and trust, the grit and the growth, the character we show.
Come on.
Redemption burns inside.
Yes.
Now is our time. This is our road to glory.
You son of a bitch!
It won't take wonder.
So that'll
First
come
time
out.
I've read that.
They'll come onto the big screen of the MCG.
Absolutely.
What, like just before they run out?
Just before Katy Perry comes out to do her thing. And she has to deliver Raw.
She must deliver
Well, there you
Raw.
go.
She must deliver
That's my
Raw.
goal this week, to get a selfie with Katy Perry.
Excellent. One more thing I'm going to leave you with. I don't want a ticket to the game. I just want to be like on the broadcast team, like just in the corner.
Okay, yeah.
Just get me in there.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, 3 years ago because the AFL, but Fox are not a broadcaster of the actual game, so they cut off our media accreditation the morning of. So, but we were unbeknownst to us in 2019.
Yes.
This is the first year it happened. Went to walk into the MCG with a media accreditation. Stopped at the gate by an MCC security lady.
Right.
And I said, "Oh, come on, I should be in there." And the copper even come home and said, "Look, love, you know who he is. You know he's been working this morning. Let him in." And she said, "No, I'll die on my patch before letting anyone in without a ticket." So I had to stand out there and miss the whole first quarter until a lady ran around from Fox to give me a grand final ticket.
I don't have that problem. You know why? Because Channel 7 are the official broadcaster.
Well done.
Hey,
But you don't have a match day role. You just told us.
Yeah, but I've got my accreditation still.
Just tell me it's not over for me. Just tell me it's not over.
It's unlikely.
But not over.
But not over.
Time for
What a World.
Yes.
Now, we're going over to Shanghai in China.
Love that place.
Right? And they have admitted, this zoo, the Chinese zoo, has admitted to using painted dogs for their panda exhibition. Now, someone went in there and painted the dogs black and white.
Yeah.
The deception was uncovered by visitors after one of the so-called pandas began barking and panting in dog-like noises. Initially, the zoo claimed the animals were a breed of panda dog before later admitting to dyeing the breeds of chow chows. What a world when zoos are even caught up in the fraudulent nature of this universe.
Well done. Well done to you.
Hey,
Happy birthday, Dino.
Oh, for tomorrow. Thank you very much, brother. And tell us we're going to have a guest for maybe the last episode of the year. Tell me. Just say yes.
I'm not sure. Jack Ginnivan. We'll see if Jack Ginnivan comes through. Can you work on that, please?
I'll work on Clarko and Jack Ginnivan, all right?
See you soon.
See you, son.